But then it drives me crazy when they have the pregnant line. Because how do you know if someone's pregnant? You know, if there's a girl that weighs 95 pounds over there with a flat stomach or pregnant. Like what, last night you got pregnant and now you're in the line? I mean, you can't tell. And you can't dispute it. What are you supposed to say? Go take a pregnancy test? I mean, so they're in the line because they just want to cut the line, you know. Or like at Walmart, they have their pregnancy parking spot. I'm like, that's the best thing for people to walk when they're pregnant. You know, these millennials now, they get pregnant at the end of the world. They're constantly always holding their stomach. I'm like, do they think it's going to fall out or something when they're walking? My doctor was pregnant a couple months ago, and she's standing there rubbing it. I'm like, is she wishing for what I'm doing here? Why do we have to be doing that? It's driving me crazy. But that's the way they are now. Mitch, I like your new van. It's very nice.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Maybe someday.
I can drive it.
Well,
Maybe.
I'll let you go inside and look at it. I don't know about that yet.
I already looked inside, but it was at nighttime. I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay.
It's very clean, very nice.
Thank you.
So everything's all situated within them?
Pretty much.
All your stuff, emissions? Plates.
It doesn't get emissions because of the weight. It's like a oversized.
Really?
Something with, I don't know if it's the engine or the traction, but there were a few letters with it that say it doesn't need to go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you use it? You did because it was a plastic, right?
Well, that was like the middle version of last year. This is the biggest. So I guess we'll get to that.
What about the actual man?
Yeah, let's talk about something else.
We don't need another job for that.
I know, right?
That's the only thing that scares me about even getting another job. That's what I want. Gas and gas. I just got gas, I wasn't even asking $70. I don't know how much income for that, for seniors or
Why don't you get an electric?
disability, because there's gonna be electricity shortage over the summer.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
Never mind.
The brown out, the black out,
Oh,
the basement
how you gonna
job.
charge your car if there's no electricity?
I don't know.
Hmm.
They were talking about, on the one news channel, they might do grids. Like, you can have electricity for like 8 hours, and you could have it for 8 hours, so like, you're gonna be mapped out.
Do you have a charger here at the library, car charger?
Pardon?
Do you have a car charger here at the library?
A car charger? No.
No.
Maybe that's something.
I'm gonna be walking.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Miss Lee. Hi.
Hey.
Oh, hi. How was work?
My wife.
Good. Yeah. Was it? How are you feeling? Good. I know I brought a sweatshirt too, just in case. I was like, oh, maybe it's like that. 62 degrees. I know it's like 95, it's still hot. My kids just went out and started sunbathing in the yard, and I was like, get up. I should go. Yeah, I do. That's right. No Sylvia?
Sylvia and Edgar both are not going to make it tonight.
Huh? I just took a shower fast. Yeah, good. It's the weather's making me and coffee. Oh, and full tank of gas. do too. I'll be waiting for a jacket.
I was like, I know it's gonna be cold out here. I already know.
Last time we were freezing this way.
At the village, you mean?
No, here.
Oh, here?
Yeah, we were freezing. We ran outside to warm up.
Oh, I thought he said last night.
No, last time.
Oh, last time. Gotcha.
All right, editor's not coming and
Sylvia's not
Sylvia's not coming. Okay, so we can start?
Yep.
Just me? Okay. You don't have to say anything because we're not virtual.
Nope.
Cool. All right, so today is Wednesday, June 22nd. I call to order our general meeting of the Stickney-Forest Public Library District. It is 6:01 p.m.
Okay, Edgar, Sylvia, Sam,
Yeah.
Natasha?
Here.
Marge here, Rose?
Here. All right, I think you're up first.
Okay. Debbie, if you will rise, please. Raise your right hand. I, Deborah Johnson, solemnly swear or affirm
I, Deborah Johnson, solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of Library Trustee
of Library Trustee
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
Welcome to the board.
Thank you very much.
I have some things that you have to put your signature on, so after the meeting,
Okay.
don't
Run away.
And I also gave you a copy of that trustee orientation. It was something I was putting together that I thought we could either tonight, if we wanted to try sitting with her tonight, if not, maybe we could just find another time to do it.
Yeah, cool.
But I gave you that copy just to look over that also.
Thank you.
Did you want to still do the walk around,
Um,
or is it too hot? Or
it's not, but no, I think,
I didn't
since we
have it on the
people,
agenda.
Do you want to do it right before we adjourn?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, after public comment, and that way if you want to leave, you can leave, and then we can
Okay.
just do our walk around, yeah?
Sure.
Is that fine? And then hopefully the sun goes down a little bit more. Okay, all right, so, regarding the consent agenda, is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda, which includes April minutes, financials, and invoice and payroll warrants?
Also move. Is there a second?
Second.
Sam?
Yeah.
Natasha?
Yes.
Marge, yes. Rose?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. Any questions, regarding the?
Wait, I'm sorry. Did,
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Sorry.
Skip, no.
I was like, maybe I voted. You can't, I don't know how it works, so I'm not sure. I was like,
Okay.
First one I can't vote. Yes.
Thank you.
in my brain, I was like ticking off. I'm like,
Okay, any questions on, the last meeting minutes? All right, any
so,
questions?
I'm sorry, if you don't mind. So what we've been doing for a while now is I don't know if you're familiar with consent agendas from any other things you're involved with, but we combine a few things that might have individual votes into a single vote. So it's like the minutes, the financials, and all that stuff. So so we did the first vote just to adopt the consent agenda, and that's going to be the minutes, which are in your packet there. After that, it's got your profit and loss statement, it's got the balance sheet, and then treasurer's report, and then we'll do a final vote just to approve all of them, all in kind of one single thing.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. Okay, so regarding, what's on the reports, anyone have any questions, comments, concerns on the minutes? Treasurer's report? Profit and loss?
Question.
Yep.
Sure.
License plate, why is it always saying that we have expenses and
Oh, I
not?
was just.
yeah, we were actually, Deborah was asking about that.
Uh-huh.
So, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do any visuals because the power outage did something with our media center, so we're not able to project on the screen. But basically, the library has got our checking account, it's got the tax account. So on the treasury report, you see we've got the tax account, the checking account, the securities account, the bond account, the license plate account. We set up the license plate account so that, because the state automatically deducts funds and the SSLT company automatically deducts funds. So we wanted to have them isolated from the other bank accounts, so we created that one account just for them to deduct their money out
And
of.
we had like $1,000.
Exactly. We started with like 10,000, and then every month they're just deducting from it.
Yeah, 10,000. Yeah.
All the payments we receive go into the checking account. So when in the treasurer's report, when it talks about miscellaneous deposits, some of those are the payments to the copy machine using that NIAX merchant services, and then anything that was a ProPay deposit, all the license plates that are getting paid with credit card, that goes into the ProPay account.
Yeah, because it says we sold 5 of them.
Right, exactly. And we're trying to figure out, in fact, it's not I'll mention this now, it's not really part of the agenda as such, but we've been doing it that way using the ProPay, and it does create kind of a little messy bookkeeping. So one thing we're looking at possibly switching to is just getting a Square and having the Square account linked right to the license plate account. And so if people pay with credit card and the Square, that payment will just go right into the Square account. So then it would show up
Yeah.
as,
I understood
Yeah.
maybe first few months, maybe it wasn't being used so much. Was it, I can understand there's some
Right.
you have to pay. Was it,
yeah, it's basically the money's coming into the checking account and it's being deducted from the
Yeah.
license plate account. So you don't see any of that revenue on the license plate account. Basically, when that license plate account
I
gets down to a certain
Makes
level,
sense, but
we would
it
just
makes sense here.
restock it,
It's sort of like a big cash fund.
basically.
That is where we.
Yeah, when we need to replenish it, we can then shift some money into it. But yeah, no,
Now, if you're using a Square, that has a fee.
right. I mean, we have a fee even with the ProPay. So,
Okay, that's-
and we just need to compare the fees. And if the Square fees are substantially higher than the ProPay fees, then we just wouldn't do it. But even with the ProPay account, when they collect that money, there's a certain percentage that gets deducted from as part of their fees also. Out of an entire license plate renewal, a standard $151 license plate renewal, we only get about $4.50 of revenue, because a person will pay $160.50 total. Of that, 151 gets deducted by the state to cover the license. $1.50 gets deducted out of that what's remaining to go to the SSLT company, and then out of what's left, ProPay takes their fees to cover the charge, the merchant services. And so out of that $160.50, all that actually ends up getting left over as revenue for the library is about $4.50. It's mainly offered as a service to the community, that it's not necessarily meant to be a huge revenue source or anything, but it's basically just, that way people don't have to run off to the currency exchange or
But
whatever.
it's not costing us, right? Like these fees?
No.
That's, okay.
I mean, no. I mean, when we determined how much we were going to charge, it was so that we wouldn't be losing money on the
Yeah.
deal, but we also didn't want to necessarily try to undercut the area businesses. So like the currency exchange, we just basically charge the same amount as a currency exchange. It's more of a convenience of letting the patrons come here. We might have better hours than a currency exchange might have, or the license places. So.
Okay, good question, guys. Any other,
And long rambling answer. Sorry about that.
any other questions on the treasurer's report? Profit and loss report? Balance sheet? Check summary? Transaction?
Summary, check summary. Okay, we have mileage for Ken and Danielle. I don't understand this. I don't know, is it double typed or whatever it is.
Yeah, I was noticing that,
Yeah.
yes.
So it looks like Ken went twice to pick up the cotton candy machine and twice to return it, and Danielle wants to pick it up and wants to return it.
So if,
Then you were all on the same day.
if,
So it
if,
wasn't like
but if you, and correct me if I'm mistaken here, Joanne, but if you look to the right, some of those charges are being divided up equally between a youth department budget line and an adult department budget line. So
Yeah.
if you are you looking at the,
I've seen that, but still, we had one cotton candy machine. We had one or more?
no, we had one.
Okay.
So it shows up in there twice because the amount that we're charged is being split into two different budget lines.
So they didn't go 3 times to pick it up?
Yes, they did.
So-
Danielle initially went to get it, it didn't fit in her car. So she
Oh.
called Ken to come and get it, so Ken could put it in his truck. So that's why Ken is showing 2 times, because he had to go and pick it up. Danielle initially went, but it didn't fit in her car.
But then he picked it up twice.
He went to go pick it up, and then he went to go drop it off after he returned it.
So she went to pick it up, but she, oh. So she charged for going to pick up, even though she didn't pick it up because she made a trip over there. But it's split into 2 accounts, that's what you're saying?
Yeah,
So actually, it costs,
So it actually cost $8.50 to go and pick it up for Danielle, but she split into 2 accounts for the youth and kids?
yeah, because pretty much all the expenses for the block party get divided up. It's a library-wide event, so any of the expenses get shared between the adult budget line and the youth budget line. So it doesn't, we don't take all the charges out of youth, it's shared equally between the 2 departments.
Because even the return, there's, for Ken, the one date is 6/6 and the other one is 6/30. So I was like, what? I mean, I saw the machine, it wasn't that big, that you needed like 3 cars to go and get it, but I just didn't get it, why it's like 3 times. I don't
Sure.
know if it was a typo or whatever. Okay.
Awesome, anything else? Alright, warrants. Any questions on the invoices, payroll warrants? Cool, so is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
oh, okay, Natasha, I'll second it. Okay, Debbie,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Natasha?
Yes.
Marge, yes, Rose?
Yes. Okay, cool, secretary's report.
Didn't have any correspondence to report. As far as the director's report, just a quick update. The one page where I'm talking about the NICOR work, and I mentioned that the sidewalk was repaired, but the grass was all torn up. They have actually since come out and leveled that dirt and laid down that kind of mesh grass seed stuff. So
Was
they
they
have-
are along
No,
before?
no, I'm sorry, this is NICOR.
Okay.
NICOR is taking care of all the costs of repair of both that section of sidewalk and the grass on either side of that sidewalk that they tore up as part of their service. And then also in the report, I talked about the sidewalk being marked up. If you've been around the perimeter of the library, the village has started working on repairing those sidewalk squares, and so hopefully that'll be done pretty soon also.
Are we doing something for extra water? If they're not putting in, well, even if they're putting in, especially with this weather, we kind of want to get that.
Are you talking about the NICOR stuff?
Yes.
That's a good question. I think our automatic sprinkling would hit that, but I'll double check that.
But will that be
Enough? That I don't know.
Sod, you might be all right, but if you're trying to get grass.
Yeah, I don't think it was sod.
You have to water it almost every day for about a week or 2, right?
Sure, let me check on that.
Especially grass.
This one, yeah.
Yeah, especially in this weather.
Yeah, I could definitely check on that, and we could just run a hose out there if we need to.
Yeah, I just, no point in having them put it in and then it die off.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool, director's report.
And that
Part of it.
was part of it, yeah. And then I do finally have, now that particular area of the grass is being squared away by NICOR, I've got Seabird coming out to do the mulch work that we were gonna have done. They're gonna do all the edging and the remulching of the areas that are looking, the fabric is showing through. They're gonna take care of all that, pull out the exposed fabric, edge all those areas and put down some new mulch.
Hey, with the storm that just happened, is our roof like, we're good?
Yeah, no, we're good. Yeah.
We had an excellent test of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we, they have not done the final walkthrough. They wanted to do it this morning, but I'm like, well, I can't be there because we had the board meeting tonight, so we're shooting to try doing it next week and have McBrady come out, have Olson Roofing come out, and then Mark and I will be there too, and just do that final walkthrough.
Olsen, like they would know what to point out, right? Like,
Yeah.
They're more knowledgeable.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, cool. Any questions, concerns, comments on that stuff? All right, trustee training. Not doing because of the.
Exactly. I had that all ready to go, but.
That was something.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
The department head reports. Anyone have questions on what we said? Or any comments you want to add?
No, no.
Cool. There are no committee reports. We didn't have any unfinished business from the last meeting. We do have new business, which is regarding the staff travel expenditures. Am I saying that right? Expenditures. So is there a motion to approve the staff travel expenditures?
I'll move that we approve the expenditures.
Expenditures.
Was that in like a special paper?
It wasn't included in the board packet, Joanne, that,
It's detailed in
the check,
That's where we talk, the one that I was asking about? Okay.
yeah. And then when you're signing the checks, each of the checks has got a breakdown form also. Yeah.
I need a second to
I'll second.
approve. Mr. Upton. Debbie?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Natasha?
Yes.
Marge, yes. Rose?
Yep. All right, so then, our meeting schedule for the year, fiscal year 2023 or 23?
Oh, I might have forgotten to take that out. Is that something we did last?
I know we reviewed it, I don't know if we approved it. Maybe we did approve it?
It's draft budget.
Last, okay, the last one was the draft budget.
And the next item we should do is the draft. We did that last month. You approved it.
Okay.
Yeah, the meeting schedule, Natasha motioned,
Okay, so done.
yeah, so yeah, we got that one. I'm sorry, I left that out, I forgot to delete it off that other annotated one.
And the
I
draft
don't
budget
have
is
that.
done.
No, there's an annotated one that kind of gives prompts for
Oh,
Rosa.
of course, oh,
Yeah,
never mind.
yeah.
He tells me what to say. Okay, so now regarding then the salaries, that's
The budget, it's item C on your annotated one.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the fiscal year 23 budget?
Yeah, so I did go in, I made those changes we discussed last time. The copy that's in your board packet
Oh, for more wiggle room, yes.
is the revised one, so like, the employee development line, which was the 105,021, I bumped that up to the $12,000 amount just to give us more wiggle room in case we do have people take advantage of the tuition reimbursement, stuff like that. Because we have less, like the media box loan's been paid off, we've got a little more wiggle room. If you look at the very bottom of that report, when it talks about the net income, right now, if the amount of income we get is correct, right now I've got it budgeted pretty, so that we would still have a good 180,000 left over after paying all the expenses. Assuming everything goes according to plan, that would then allow us to have a little bit extra that we can then put it back into the special reserve fund, yeah. So, but everything in there then is, I did adjust the one employee development one. I've made a couple more adjustments around there. It's that yellow column, the 2023 column with the yellow header on top. That's the column that is the FY23 budget that we're looking at. The column to the left of that, the blue column, is the FY22 budgeted amounts, and then the column to the left of that is what the actual charges were for FY22.
Now, are you taking into account that the state and the county have been so delayed by 6 months to a year
Yeah.
to not be freely spending the money that you really don't have
Yeah.
physically from them?
Yeah, right now we were not spending as much in other budget lines this year, so our actual, one second. in the treasurer's report, when it talks about the tax account, and you know, we've got the 682,000 in there, that's higher than we normally would have. You know, the goal is to have 3 months of operational expenditures in there, but like you said, we don't know if there's gonna be delays in the money coming in, so that's a little higher than, you know, we normally might
It's
keep
not
in
gonna be
there.
delayed, it's gonna be freeze for 6 months, starting July. That's the email I got from county,
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that. A freeze?
freeze.
Because last I heard there was just a delay in getting those bills out to like October
I got
or
this
something.
email, and it says, like a warning that whoever is, all the taxing bodies, they're basically living and functioning off the tax money, they're gonna be a huge surprise, and to prepare for it, because starting July, within 6 months, it's gonna be freeze, there's gonna be no money coming. I hope it's not true, but that's what it says.
Okay.
I don't know what's the reasoning behind it or anything, it's just like, that's what it says.
It's Cook County. before
Yes.
everything.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah, well,
so it's
they were
gonna
saying
affect the
that- they were
village,
saying
it's gonna
that, yeah.
affect the
Yeah.
township, it's gonna affect us.
Okay.
Yeah, when they said the tax bills, it could be a delay, yes, they were saying up until.
They're basically not gonna give away the money, they're gonna take the tax money out, but they're not gonna give us any tax advice. Schools, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Well, they said earlier.
Well, I'll
they
double
said
check that, but
earlier-
if that's an email that you have that you could forward to me,
Yeah, I gotta find it.
okay.
I thought you got it because it looks
I
like
don't-
everybody for everybody.
We also, in the special reserve fund,
Not everybody to us,
that's,
everybody has to do something.
I'll call it our
Right,
savings
right.
account, so to speak,
Townships and.
where we, any
That's fine.
extra that we
I
have
need
at
to
the end of the
do
year,
Sure.
we put it in
Maybe.
there. And we have to, we can take money, loan that money to us to tide us over, instead of taking out a bridge loan. We've got the money in the special reserve that can carry us for a little while anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
But
it's
then-
gonna be scary, if that's true, it's gonna be scary because even that money's not gonna be enough.
Oh, yeah,
So
yes,
you
that's-
just have to be careful, you know, maybe put the air conditioning 71. Cut down a couple of lights.
Okay, so is there a motion, or any questions else on the budget?
No.
Okay, is there a
Did we-
motion?
Yeah, okay, thank you. I was just gonna say, go ahead.
So is there a motion to approve, the fiscal year 2023 budget?
Also move. We hear second? Thank you, Sam. Debbie?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Natasha?
Yes.
Marge? Yes. Rosa?
Yes. All right, so then for the salaries, for employee salaries.
So that was left over from last, we started talking about that last month, as just kind of the initial stage. We had been bouncing some numbers around, and the number you guys were leaning more towards was a 3% raise.
This was across the board.
This was across the board, yeah. And then, the one thing that Joanne and I were discussing, because we've never had this come up before, is that we've had some new staff members join us, like, within the past few weeks or so. So, I did a survey of some other library directors to see how they handle that, and basically, if anyone is still within their 3-month, thank you, probation, my brain is not working tonight. The 3-month probationary period, they would not then be included in the across-the-board raise, but if they're out of their 3-month probationary period, we would let them take part in that across-the-board raise also.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, so we're looking at, based on what you guys were talking last month, if that's still correct, at 3%. And those, I didn't include, and I unfortunately, I wasn't thinking about Deborah, but I think we had included that in your board packet last month, but I didn't reprint it out today. Was there specifically a number, I mean, did you need to see that again? Because I could print it out again real quick, or
What,
let me pull
I'm
it up.
not really sure what the people's salaries are.
Yeah, the,
I know from being here, I think you said there was only one person around 15 something. And then some of the other people made a significant amount more.
Oh, those are much older. Those aren't,
No, I just opened
Well,
it.
those are old ones.
Oh,
yeah, those are from like 2021.
but still, you can see, you can have some ideas. It's weird how it just like unfolded it there.
How was the insurance looking?
The insurance was, let me pull that up again real quick. I'll just print those out again.
We do pay some of their insurance, so that's,
Well, that's, I think some of those things you need to consider, that even if someone like here making $20 an hour, plus their insurance, plus if they have vacation or personal time or tuition reimbursement, you know, I know, I think Sylvia or yourself, I'm not pinpointing either one of you because I'm not sure, said, well, you could go to Wendy's and make $15 an hour, well, then go. If you want to smell like french fries and get yelled at all the time, I'm sorry, I think, now looking at this is even shocking to me.
But that's the nice thing.
That this is, you know, I think this is a very nice job. I think the library is very good. It's a good place to work. I think the employees are all treated very well. I've been in here several times where there's one patron, maybe two. The weekends might be busier because I haven't had the pleasure of coming mostly on the weekends, but I think all these salaries are very good. I mean, I don't know if you got a raise, if you're on your pension or you're on Medicare, or you didn't get a raise. I know my employees don't get a raise right now. Everything's been frozen since COVID. And during COVID, I don't think anyone in the library really was working. What were they doing? I mean, my opinion is I would put a freeze on it or table it for now, but that's just my opinion because I'm new. So if my vote counts, I'm gonna say no to table it. And I think 3% is most generous. The only people I know that are getting 3% right now is if they're in the union and it's already in their contract. Otherwise, everyone's trying to keep their head above water. I mean, we should be treating this checkbook like it's your personal checkbook, not just freedom,
That's
you know?
what the trustees do.
And I do think if somebody, you know, I've heard people tell me the comment at my business, well, you know, I could go to Sam's Club and make $18 an hour. Well, if you want to get a shopping cart in the winter and do that, by all means, there's the door. You can go wherever you want. And I think with the insurance and the other benefits that they have, with the schooling reimbursement, that's a great thing. That's not just their salary, what they're getting. They're actually getting more than they are. So I don't know what your other opinions are.
this is why I was just, that we can afford because insurance skyrockets.
Right. And if we're not getting some of that money, that's on hold.
If we don't get this money.
Then we're gonna something.
The budget that we just approved, that counted for
Yeah,
some of
so,
that, sorry, just what number was in that budget?
so in that budget line, the administrative salary budget line is budgeted out at $699,000. And that factors in a 3% raise, that factors in staff that we potentially haven't hired yet, but will be hiring because we're still short. We literally just hired a fourth person in CERT finally, because again, you know, things are picking up again. We're gonna be hiring a fourth person in the Popular Services Department also. So that $699,000 is factoring in those new hires as well.
Oh, I actually did not know that. If I could recall my vote to know.
Oh, it wasn't even a vote yet.
Oh, no, I thought you said in the expenses we voted, in the budget.
Wait, I'm sorry?
When we voted on a draft budget, yes. If it was in that draft budget,
Yeah.
then I would like to change mine to no. Because I didn't know I was approving that. So I was actually approving a 3% raise?
No.
You were approving an operational budget.
Okay.
Now, that budget, if you look at that budget spreadsheet, we had, but last year, the second column from the left, it's got the blue column header, 2022 budget, we budgeted $699,000 as money to have available to spend on salaries. But the column just to the left of that, we've only spent $606,000 of that budgeted money because we were without a department head for a good number of months. We didn't fill other vacant positions while we were slower due to the pandemic. So out of that $699,000 budgeted money, we actually have only spent so far $606,000. So approving that $699,000 budget for 2023, that's just the amount that we are setting aside to be able to pay for things. That's not necessarily what we're going to end up paying.
Okay, so just because you have it, you're not spending it.
Right.
It's just.
Yeah, because we could, I mean, let's say no one got raised, but we at a later point decided we need to hire one more person, we have the budget to hire one more person.
Right.
But, so the budget wise, was approved. Do you,
Was okay with
which is
not really cutting it.
correct, yeah. So that's
So
what
the same thing like with utilities, we budgeted 26,750. Last year was 25,000. But utilities are going like 50% up almost every other month, so that number is gonna be higher.
Oh, yes.
So,
Nine quarters, going up
Nine quarters,
50%.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and you're gonna see it with Verizon.
I did. I just
Ethernet
got
is gonna go
mine
up.
2 days ago.
Actually, by the end of the next fiscal year, this number is gonna be probably 60,000. That's my opinion,
Mhm.
because the way that the things are going, the rate that the things are going.
Yeah, a lot of those generic numbers were just bumped up by 7%, which is
Yes.
what the
Average.
the cost of living,
Standard
or yeah, whatever that is,
inflation, whatever
the
cost
CPI.
of living, yeah. But it's not, like something like that you cannot control, water, stuff like that.
Mhm,
The things are
mhm.
gonna go up.
Right.
Okay, so then budget-wise or not budget-wise, but employees' salaries.
So do you want me to reprint those things for you real quick?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure.
So then while he prints those, in your opinion, it's not a vote, it's just your opinion. Increase, no increase, and what number if yes?
We said 3%, then it'd be.
You're okay with 3%?
And just as a reminder that there's a 7% cost of living adjustment that the people, the staff have to adjust to as well.
Well, so do the people on Medicare and
Yeah.
everything like that, and they don't get that. I mean, I'm just saying, or if they do get it, they get to take it back with their Part B. People that are on disability don't get 7% increase, like you're saying, cost of inflation.
So Sam, would you like to give an increase or no?
Not this time.
No, okay. Debbie?
I would say no at this time.
Okay, Natasha?
No.
I would want one, my vote would be for yes. I would be okay with 2-3%.
I'll get those printouts
So
from
let's have them print out and to see what dollar amount difference it makes, if that changes your vote for any kind, and if not, then we can just vote on it, yes or no. And I did tell Leighton, I think, obviously not for this year, but like in the next year or two, if we, because these raises are across the board, and we had discussed in the last meeting, like there's, what's to stop me from going above and beyond if the person next to me does the bare minimum and we both get the same raise at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
So I think in the future, we should should be, like my job, you're either at meets, does not meet, or exceeds, and then that, based on that.
Did
is-
you guys ever consider maybe an employee of the month or some kind of like incentive or gift card or present or day off or?
In some respects,
Our
our
staff-
staff, they really are.
They are really good, but,
there's
They're
no
very good,
slight-
but I do not think they're overworked at all by any means.
Well, no, it's not
I
that, we're
think
talking
there's a lot
about
of-
merit raises.
Yeah.
That they're all equal.
thank you.
Or maybe a few of them on a lower scale, the newer ones. They
Well,
might
but
be
they're, that's
affected
again,
with
that
that.
they're new, but that's.
Yes, but the other ones, they're not gonna be, they're not gonna be affected with that.
And you never know with turnover, like we could get, maybe we have a bad hire one day, and what's to stop him from doing the bare minimum versus someone who does above and beyond. So
So-
we can just pin for next year or 2 year, in the future, revise
sorry.
the merit increase instead of all across the board.
Right.
I think we want to see like a merit increase, like something put in place for that.
Sure.
But obviously not this year.
So of those sheets, one of them is focusing strictly on the salaries. And it's got the 2% and the 3% on the flip side. The other one just also shows you how that impacts like the FICA and the IMRF stuff as well. But the one that's easier to read is just the salaries. And that doesn't, I don't think that includes any of like the new hires then also.
Am I allowed to say the name of the person or not?
I don't know off the top of my head. I guess you could. I mean, it's all FOIA-able
Okay,
information
never mind, I'm
anyway.
gonna say position.
I mean, or
Circulation assistant is right now getting $13 an hour.
Is it a new hire maybe?
say again.
Maybe it's a new hire? You said you just hired someone?
Which one are we looking at? Oh, you're looking at,
The seventh one down.
After my eyes was saying that. No, didn't we read that from July 1st, the minimum wage is $13.25? Something came from Cook County or from state of Illinois.
I know that the minimum wage was being adjusted to match the year, so it was gonna go up to 13 in 2023, up to 14 in 2024.
Yes,
but I don't
there was
know.
something for the July 1st, 13.25. Look into that, because if that's true, or maybe the payroll is gonna tell you. You know, when the payroll does, I think this person will be effective. I mean, maybe by the law it has to go up to 13.25. If that's true, but I remember seeing that, I'm like, why are they doing this in the middle of the year? I don't get it, because I know that January 1st it went up to 13.
July 1st, 2022, it will go up from 13 to $13.35.
35 cents, you see, so I'm right.
Okay.
So this person, I think by the Cook County,
It's a
Illinois law, has to go up to 13.35.
And that's soon, July.
Yeah, in a week or so.
With a 3% increase, that takes that person up to just over, that's 13.39, so.
Well, even if they get a freeze, this person's share has to be bumped up because of
Right.
the law.
Okay, yeah, she was definitely a new hire.
Although for municipalities, the state minimum wage is currently $12. So we're kind of still fine with that.
Oh, so you don't have to follow, oh, never mind then.
Okay, so now that you guys have the information, any questions before we take a vote?
So what you're seeing is the difference between a 2% and a 3% raise.
And even for the highest paid person, I think it's what?
Well, I'm
$1.
looking at the bottom line, and that's, a 2% would cost us $658,000. The 3% was 664. Yeah,
So it's less than 10,000.
so it's, what is that? That's $6,000 difference between a 2% and a 3%.
All right.
Our bottom line.
So then, our vote now is, do you vote to increase the employee salary to 3%? My vote is yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, was that a motion?
Oh, yeah, I have a motion, that's right, sorry.
Okay. So Rosa, 3% raise. Okay. I'll second it. All right. Debbie?
No. I would just like it to be frozen for now. But the way,
In one respect, I'm going to say, nothing about the library, you just stepped in.
but I do know about money and I do know about employees. I do have experience with that. And I have plenty of experience with that. And I've also been in the library when I've seen some of these people that now I'm even shocked that they make Facebooking on their phone, talking with one person walking around the library. That's a pretty nice job to have. I would like it. If I could make that much money, I would actually probably hire more people in my business to come work here then. I'm just saying for now, we have electricity increases, night floor increases, things that we don't know. And I understand the cost of living, but it applies to all of us. So if it could be addressed later on down the road, I'm okay with that. Once we see what this inflation is gonna happen with these blackouts and brownouts and all the other bills that we're gonna be incurring in the next several months. And readdress it later on then. I like the mirror thing if someone is going above and beyond. But during the COVID, when these people were getting paid, they were here by themselves. When the library
They were
was
working
closed.
when the library was closed to the public. We were all working when the library was closed to the public.
But now you're saying the library is so busy now, so what were they doing then?
I don't understand your question.
I'm asking, what were they doing then? If they're
They
doing the
were,
same job
when the
now,
library was
open.
closed to the public, we were still dealing with materials. We were doing curbside pickup of materials. People couldn't come into the building, but we would process their holds. We would run them out to them in their car. We'd run them out to the sidewalk. We were doing a lot of work in the building. I don't know. Yeah, we don't sit around and read books all the day.
I never said
No.
you did, Lee.
Yeah,
I never
yeah,
said
yeah.
anybody sat around about
Yeah,
reading books.
yeah.
I-
That's just a popular misconception. It's like we do a lot of work, so I you know, yeah,
That's just my opinion.
okay.
That's fine, so yours is no.
Okay, so you say no, okay. Sam?
Not right now.
Natasha?
No, I wanna see what's gonna happen with all these other bills. I think it's not a good idea now.
Okay, I say yes, Rosa says yes. Okay, so the 3% raise is no.
All right, tuition reimbursement approval, so is there a motion to accept?
Now.
So, I mean-
We were voting on a 3% raise.
Right.
Okay,
Do we want to do
a 1% vote.
a 1% raise?
Their vote is 0, so I don't think they're gonna go for 2, so we wanna try and do
Oh.
a 1.
Well, okay. All right, Debbie, I know what you're saying. Natasha, Sam, are you saying nothing?
No, I think,
Right now.
Okay, so we have to do an action on this. So, one of you three, make the motion as far as what we're doing about salaries for this year.
I just make a motion that we revisit it in 2 more months. Let's get some bills in, see where we're at, see what Cook County decides what they're gonna do with their money in July. If it's gonna be frozen, I make a motion that we revisit it in 2 months. I'm not saying no forever, of course, people need a raise eventually, but I just think, let's see what happens.
Is that doable, Lane? Can we,
Or should we wait a little bit longer?
That's okay.
was there a difference to voting no now and then just revisiting?
We've traditionally done it at this point in time. I don't
At the
know,
beginning of the fiscal
yeah, at the beginning of the fiscal year. I don't, Joanne, do you know offhand, is there any reason why it has to be done this time, or can it be kicked on?
Or does it go
It
to
doesn't
quarters?
necessarily have to be done at this time, we've always done it because it's the beginning of the fiscal year.
Right, right.
It can be done later in the fiscal year if that's what the trustees.
Like, does it go by quarters then? Like, is it quarterly?
Or fiscal year. But we can, if you decide to revisit it and if you decide something down the line, it's an easy thing that we could
To
do.
just put it back on the agenda and
Okay.
then we can revisit it then.
Okay, so then let's table this then, so we're not officially voting, and then we're just gonna table this for, July, so we have the end of the August meeting, is that enough time, or do we still need September?
what's
Would be
it,
the-
I'm thinking September. I'm really afraid with these things that I've read,
With the
so.
night core and all this stuff. Okay, so then can you please make a
Everything.
note to add this to the September, making sure it's on the calendar, or your reminders? Okay.
And the property taxes coming in, you know, if we don't have revenue, I don't know. I mean, I know it's not gonna affect us a lot with the raises, but it's gonna affect us a lot with the other bills.
Okay, so that's fine, well, we'll just table this for September.
We don't have to take action one way or another?
I don't believe so.
Just, we're gonna table this thing until September meeting.
So you will, Clayton, you will let the staff know? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so then tuition reimbursement.
Actually,
Ordinance is next.
Ordinance 22, what's the dash,
sorry, let me double check.
This is,
Did I not put it on there?
yes,
No, I didn't know if I put it on this agenda. Look at the,
this is
the main one.
ordinance, number 2022-04, an ordinance declining participation in the public library non-resident card program.
Okay.
Yeah, and basically, this is something that we have an obligation to say that we're participating or not participating. We don't have any non-residents. We're not, I believe it's for libraries that have like land bordering up them that is not part of their area. They can choose to charge people that are non-residents to have a library card. We don't have any residents or non-residents that take part in that. So just to make sure we're complying with the law, we just do an ordinance saying doesn't apply to us.
Right, I was just gonna say, this ordinance is not applicable
Right.
to us, but we have to do the,
Wait, can you explain again?
Do we
Sure.
offer that? Do we offer?
before we annexed Central Stickney,
Right.
that was the group, they were not served by any library. I shouldn't say Central Stickney, what's the,
But now they're.
Stickney
Right.
Township, yeah.
Yes, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
They were adjacent to us, but they weren't served by any libraries, so they were given the option as non-residents to purchase library cards. But then when they got annexed into our district, they're just part of our district now.
but
And
do
we
we
don't have them.
allow like someone who lives in Berwyn, like just maybe they
No.
prefer
No,
ours,
because
they
they-
No,
can't come
because
here?
they've got a library in their community.
So they couldn't?
They
come
can't,
here.
no.
I mean,
No.
they
They
can't
cannot get a
rent out stuff.
They cannot get a library card, but they can use the
Right,
library.
right,
Okay.
right,
Right.
yeah.
See, before that group in Central Stickney, what we did is we charged them what the average person here paid in taxes
Right.
for for the library.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
that's, if they wanted a library card here, they paid us that, it was about $125 or something at that time. And then they got a library card for us. But we annexed them, so they are now part of us, so that's.
No, because over here I saw like we have library patron users at the library, top 5. So I see like Stickney, Berwyn,
Oh,
Sister Alliance.
yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
We have people
Any-
already.
Anybody that's got a card that is part of the SWAN consortium, they can go to any other library.
Yeah,
in-
yeah, I knew that,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, that's why, for free. But
Right.
see, what I'm surprised over here, I do not see anybody from Forest View or Central Stickney.
Well, no, they're just part of ours. I
Are
mean,
they part of Stickney?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are determined by the cards,
Yeah. Oh.
not necessarily like the geographic way you
Not even one
live.
person? Okay. Okay, so this is something that we didn't have before, it's made a new thing. This
Well,
ordinance-
and, you know, we've been doing this for the past couple of years also.
No, but the ordinance is new.
Well, we did it last year too. It's just
Oh.
basically an ordinance saying,
Revised?
the law says that, you know, you have to make this option, you know, available to non-residents.
Okay.
We don't have any non-residents, so we're just declining participation.
I make a motion to pass the ordinance 2022-04.
Sam, did I hear you?
Yeah.
Okay. Debbie?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Natasha?
Yes.
Marge, yes. Rosa?
Yes. Okay. Now, we're gonna read it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we revised the amounts the last meeting. So is there a motion, or does anyone have questions first?
Yeah, the policy got approved last month, the dollar amounts were approved last month. We actually had, and this is part of the transaction list, and it's also in your checks there. But basically, the employee submitted her grades.
That's how I was looking, I couldn't find the grades.
Oh,
Is it in there?
Oh, she did submit that.
yeah, so this is just, you know, the policy's been approved. She did, it was,
Yeah. I've seen like the credit hours and everything, maybe I didn't see it.
this is, oh, here we go. So on this one here, it was an A and A, and that was a credit,
Oh.
no credit class.
Mhm.
So it was those 3 classes there.
Okay.
Yeah, so she, of the 3 classes, one of them was,
Skip that
one of them was credit, no credit, she got credit. The other 2 were graded classes and she got A's.
Okay.
So she fulfilled the academic requirements,
That we, and
Yeah.
we've already budgeted for it, so it is within budget.
yeah.
Yeah, so the check is signed from her, so.
Awesome, perfect. Okay, so then, so is there a motion to approve the employee's tuition reimbursement?
Make a motion.
I'll second that, but I just have one question.
Sure.
I'm not sure. Do they have to stay here for so long?
Yes.
Afterwards? Okay,
Yeah.
or what?
It's a year,
They
or,
have to
I mean,
repay.
are they getting repaid after the year, or they're getting reimbursed first, then they have to?
They have to finish the class first,
Okay.
submit that, proof that, hey, I passed, and this is what I paid.
Uh-huh.
And then, they have, like, what, was it 33 months to submit that to us for review after they finish. And then once we approve and they get paid, they have to stay with us for
A year?
A year.
A year.
A year
And they
after
don't.
they receive the check.
Okay.
right.
And if they
And you
don't,
haven't had anybody,
they have to
not
return
anybody
it.
split or
No.
anything? After
This is
you
not
do
something that we have.
We
all
don't
the
do
time,
con- yeah.
so-
We haven't actually had anyone take advantage of it in a few years.
That's great,
Yeah.
that's a great thing, I
Yeah.
think, for anyone to do it, you know, when you wanna further your school, get someone else to pay That's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, we have the motion to approve the reimbursement and a second. So Debbie,
Yes.
Sam,
Yeah.
Natasha?
Yes.
Mark, yes, Rosa?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so now regarding the public facial covering policy.
So the copy, did I include that copy? Yeah, so the copy that I included in your board packet is just is the policy as is written right now. We last revised it back in September when Illinois, originally it was written so that it was based on the phases, and if Illinois went to phase 5, we were gonna require masks, and if Illinois dropped out of phase 5, they weren't gonna require masks. So then Illinois dropped out of phase and went into phase 4, so we stopped requiring masks, but then the CDC says, no, people need to wear masks, but Illinois didn't jump it up to 5. So we rewrote it and just saying, we're gonna follow the recommendations of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. So most recently, the CDC came and made Cook County a high level of transmission. We started requiring masks again. 3 months later, CDC said, okay, Cook County's back down to a medium level of COVID transmission, so we stopped requiring masks. So that's how we're doing it right now. There were a couple people that were pissed off about it, but I think we're gonna have people pissed off about it anyway. If we get rid of the mask thing completely, we're gonna have people pissed off. If we require masks, we're gonna have people pissed off. So if there's a way you want to change this in any way, let me know. Like, as I mentioned in my email, my only request is that we need it to be simple enough to where it's like, it's binary.
Well, I sent you the email, I didn't send it to everybody, honestly, I only sent it to you and Rosa.
Mhm.
Because the federal judge somewhere in April 16th or 19th had made that it cannot be mandatory. That's why even on a website, you saw it on a CDC and a Cook County, they don't put mandatory, they put we are advising or we are recommending
Mhm.
Or urging, I've seen.
or urging,
Mhm.
depends why you read it.
Even
That's
Juul
why-
isn't mandatory anymore.
That's why people are getting upset because it's not mandatory anymore.
It's not mandatory by the CDC. You're saying nobody can make it mandatory, because I don't think that's the case.
The only, like in the hospitals, that's it,
Mhm.
nowhere else.
Okay.
It's not mandatory, the federal judge overruled that thing, it cannot be mandatory, nobody can force you to wear the mask. And a lot of people are sick of it, so they're more than, that's why when you go in the stores, nobody wants to wear it. There was more than a few people because.
Obviously,
People police
obviously
kicked out of the
not.
library.
Obviously, it's not. Nobody wants to wear it. Some people still
Some
want to wear
people
it,
do.
and some
By all
people,
means, go
and
wear
some,
it.
and some people.
If you're scared so much,
Yeah.
go and wear it, you know, it's not, we all don't have the same.
No,
You know,
But we also had members of the public that were agreeing, saying, thanking us for
yeah, but
requiring
if
the
if
masks
they're
also.
afraid and they come inside of the library and they wear the mask,
Mhm.
it's completely fine. I had two people at work today wearing the mask. It's fine, they feel comfortable like that. Maybe they have some underlying condition that they have to wear the mask. Go ahead. I've seen people wearing the mask before even this started, so it's fine, you know. But overall, to make everybody else, because honestly, over 90% of people don't want to wear it.
Well, I think it's regardless, there's no winning, it's 50-50, some people like it, some people don't. So whatever the number is, it's fine, we're gonna piss off people either way. So
Yeah, but
we
people are
just
kicked
need-
out of the library because,
So that's why, so then
and one
this,
of them is chief of police.
so then we need to revise
Okay,
this.
what do you mean? Clarify. Someone was kicked out of the library.
Yeah, they came in the library and then he was asked to leave because he didn't have a mask and
And
Chief
he
of
and he
police.
complied.
he complied with what?
Well, if he was asked to leave the library,
No, he's the chief of police, he said it's not mandatory.
if he was asked to leave the library and he left the library, I don't understand. That's what I'm saying. He's saying someone was kicked out of the library. I just need to know what that was.
Or you're saying that he chose to leave?
Right,
because
if-
of-
They told him you have to wear a mask. I was like, well, I don't because it's not mandatory. I don't have to wear a mask. It's like, well, then you have to leave. It's like, why would I leave? I don't have to wear the mask. If you have to, you have to leave. That's one example. I had another 7 and plus another 3 that about something else. We are losing people in the library.
Okay, so then we need a clear direction on, or votes on.
I'm telling you, the way that's what is passed by the federal judge, it's not mandatory anymore. That's why they're saying on the website, it's recommended, or they're urging you to wear for your own protection and stuff like that. I don't think we should have mandatory in the library anymore. We can, that's why that's why we have mixed feelings over here.
Okay, so you're saying regardless of what level the county is?
Yes.
Our signs or whatever our policy.
Same way you go in a Jew, you don't have to
we
wear a
urge-
mask.
We urge it, okay.
Yeah, you go in a movie theater, you don't have to
I
wear a
think
mask.
urge is a good word because it's, or highly recommend.
Highly recommend.
For your safety, we highly recommend you wear the mask. I think mandatory is always.
We advise you to wear,
Well, now
oh,
that's.
no, highly recommended, that's
Highly
not advice,
recommend,
not
I think
advice.
is- Like, it seems like you're almost forcing it on, but you're not saying it's mandatory. Because I've seen that before, and they show a picture of the mask on there, like it's a nice
Okay,
sign.
Well,
this
I-
is
one-
policy. Oh, this is policy.
One thing I will do is I will reach out to Tiffany and get an actual legal opinion on whether or not we can require masks or not.
Okay.
Now, you're the board, so if one of you wants to just say, I make a motion that we just don't have a mask policy, hey, that's your call.
I think we should have a mask policy, I don't think it should be a mandatory mask policy.
Well, then what is the policy for?
The policy is to urge people to wear it.
Okay, but a
Don't
policy,
Make them feel comfortable with it.
but there's a policy that just urges people to
You see
maybe
what
do
you're
some.
really getting
No.
at? If you're
I'm
not
just
wearing
trying.
a mask, you wear the
No.
mask,
I'm just saying.
I know I'm immune to
I'm just
heat
trying to
and I
say.
wear a mask.
I'm just trying to say, if all it is doing is a recommendation, there's no need for a policy.
Well, because I still think you can hang a sign on the
But-
door that.
Okay, now wait, this
want
is
to
a
wear it.
policy that applies, it started with COVID, this is something that could apply to the black plague that's gonna hit us
The
in
monkeypox
September.
is coming.
Okay, monkeypox.
In
So
case
this is
the
a policy.
mandatory changes back, we still have the policy.
Well, that's the language I want to have.
In the policy, that's what this policy is. It puts the things in place
Yeah.
that we can say, do it, we don't have to recreate the wheel again.
Right.
So then, right now, since we
It's-
follow CDC, does the CDC, I know, so are they saying that it's mandatory? They're no longer saying it's mandatory?
They're no longer, the CDC said Cook County was no longer at a high level of COVID transmission, so their page no longer recommends
And when we
wearing
are
masks in
high?
public.
When we are high, is it mandatory?
When
or
we
just
were
highly
high,
recommended?
it said the CDC recommends wearing masks in public. And so based on the policy, we're just saying, okay, the CDC is recommending masks in public, so we're requiring masks.
See, that's
Now-
what it
Seems
is.
Well,
recommended.
then, but my point is, if we're not gonna be enforcing anything, then there's no need for a policy.
But I do, okay, so we do need the policy because this is specifically, like, we're thinking specifically right now COVID, but there are, and will be eventually, like, future other stuff. And so I like where we just follow the recommendations from CDC. So CDC is saying not mandatory, but highly recommended, then, and that's just right now for COVID. But later on, when it's something, let's say chickenpox goes around, they're saying it's, because it's such a big thing, mandatory that everyone wears masks again.
But like
We're
right
following
now,
our
when it was
policy
in the
in
high
place.
level, I'm sorry, excuse me, I didn't cut you off. When it was just in the high level, during the CDC, this library was the only place in Cook County that I could even find that I frequent. Anywhere, any store, Sam's Club, Jewel, Walgreens, a gas station. This library was the only place that I was asked or said it's mandatory to wear a mask. So I don't understand if Cook County is following the CDC, why nobody else had a mask policy. But yet here it is, and here we're trying to encourage people to come back and use the library and encourage people, get patrons. I saw that was fantastic, that was like the highest level of youths that joined, I think it was 65 or something that utilized it. That's amazing, we should be welcoming people in the library. And I think that when it gets to the high level, what's gonna happen is people are gonna stay away from the library, or they are gonna wear the mask anyhow. I don't think we should have to fight with people in a library about wearing a mask or not.
Especially the staff, they're like in the middle of it.
Yeah, I mean, if the staff, now what Jewel is doing is when they were in the red, one of the employees told me the employees is mandatory to wear the mask, but not the patrons. Because they're not there long enough, they're not close enough to people, they're passing, which I kind of think is the same situation in the library. If you X out the chairs and space them 6 feet, people are getting a book and checking it out, it's kind of the almost same thing as Jewel. You might even be here shorter than you would be at Jewel. So the employees, maybe if they're interacting with each other, that's a good idea for employees to be mandatory, but I don't know that, especially with that judge overruling that, I don't know who that is, who you're talking about, but If the judge really did overturn that, like the police chief said, you can't enforce that. Nobody can call the police. If I want to stay in this library with no mask on, there's nothing anybody can do.
No.
You can't put your hands on me, you can't remove me, and you can't call the police on me because there's no law against it, about it being mandatory.
I mean,
So
the
I
only
think-
thing we have is a policy against it, that's about it.
I think the policy, I don't know.
The policy doesn't say, it's just saying we're following the guideline. This is, like you said, this is a long-term thing, this isn't necessarily. So, as far as the policy is concerned, I don't think there's a problem with that. Now, the way it is implemented, then that's something that you're discussing at this point.
Right, whether it's going high, medium, or low.
Correct.
And what is high? Is that the hospital cases? Is that just the COVID cases? See, different charts, you look at different things. So I don't know what they, before they were looking at hospitalizations only, then they started looking at cases, or vice versa, when it first started. I mean, I just would hate to lose people checking out books or coming in here to do something over a mask. I think it's an unnecessary fight for the staff too, you know, the staff, if they have to take abuse for it, they're not the ones implementing it, so they're getting yelled at for no reason.
If you want to wear it, it's up to them, no problem.
And if people, I mean, the majority of people are vaccinated, and if they're vaccinated and they want to wear the mask, they're already protecting themselves, so I don't know why they would be upset if someone across the room isn't wearing a mask, just to come check a book out.
Well, now I heard even if you fly, you don't need the vaccination. I mean, you don't need.
A mask?
No.
No,
What?
the test.
Really?
Yeah.
See, they change it all the time, that's the problem, they just keep changing, because they don't know either, I don't think.
Okay, so the policy just needs to be
I
revised.
don't know what's going on with everything
No,
else,
it doesn't
but
need to be.
I think.
Well, the
it's-
policy
Well,
right
I-
now says, patrons who refuse to wear a facial covering, and we saying, like, I wanna say some of this wording is leaning towards where like,
I mean,
We're
or should we just
requiring
implement the
them.
policy and make it a new one if we need a new one, when it becomes mandatory again, what do we do?
I'm sorry.
I mean, if we get rid of the policy, and then, let's say in 2 years, something else comes around, then we just make a new policy.
No, but then we've got this sitting here. Why read
Well,
it?
then we have to change the wording in this one, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's a little extreme to kick someone out of the library and ban them for 3 months.
Well, again, it depends on what comes up the next time.
Yeah, no, but I mean, if they don't wanna leave, you're gonna ban
This is
them
the
from the
current
library
policy.
for 3 months? Is that what this is the current one?
It's similar to our patron code of conduct. It's basically, you know, we could not try to enforce any policies, or we could try to say, listen, we have a patron code of conduct. We expect patrons to follow, you know, staff, when the staff asks them to do something, we're
To be respectful.
to be respectful,
absolutely,
yeah.
yes.
And so that gives us the option of saying, well, I'm sorry, you know, this is why we can't have nice things, you have to leave for 3 months. Now, we can change that.
But, okay, so it says any patron who refuses to leave shall be removed. How are you gonna remove them?
We call the police.
The police can't do anything about it.
Then the police will tell, I mean,
They have
basically,
power.
basically regardless,
About right now, again, back when it started,
Right.
it was a lot stiffer. And we could have, again, some other kind of illness come in. And that's gonna be,
Well, hopefully, if
Ba-
it's that
basically-
serious, we would probably close the library, like everything was closing at one time.
the only thing I was gonna add was basically regardless of whether we're talking about masks in the pandemic or somebody's shouting obscenities,
Right.
our only recourse is to call the police.
Right.
And, you know, that's basically our, you know, so when we say, oh, well, you'll be removed, all we're gonna do is call the police. And if someone is shouting out
But if you're
racist
just
stuff,
standing there
we're just gonna call the
refusing to
police.
leave, I mean, what can
Right.
they do? They're not
No, you're right.
Asking if they have a library
Well-
card.
well,
But they
but
just
there
don't wanna
again,
wear
if
a
these
mask.
are our rules and you don't want to abide by them, we have the right to have you removed.
If we call the police and they don't enforce and ask the person to leave, there's nothing we can do about it.
Right.
So, I mean, you're right. So,
You know, if somebody comes trotting in nude,
Well,
I'm choosing
that's
something
indecent
absurd.
exposure.
But you see, that's something that, again, we have to call the police for. This does not fit into our library, and if you don't want to follow it, you're going to have to leave, and if you don't leave voluntarily.
Right, you have to call police.
Right. I mean, I don't, Layton, if you think it's a good idea to call somebody to ask them, are you?
You guys are saying it's mandatory. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm gonna call the lawyer and be
That's what I
like,
mean.
what do we have, what are our options?
Right.
As far as the wording of that, basically this comes down to, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, we're looking at the final paragraph. You know, assuming we get something else, you know, mad cow slash whatever.
Don't say it out
you know,
loud, it'll probably.
if we do have to do something in the future, I'm assuming we'll still, you know, potentially need to ask people to leave. I think the point of discussion, but again, correct me if I'm wrong, is just what are we doing right now as far as what is the metric we're going to use to actually enforce this?
Or
Now,
maybe instead of shall be removed, maybe that sounds so, should be like, will be asked to leave the premises instead of like be removed. It sounds like you're gonna.
But you can use the whole paragraph, because even the first paragraph where it says must wear and maintain facial covering, you can use that, it has to go out. And maybe change with something recommended to use, and then the second and third paragraph have to go out completely.
I still think it's general enough. We can just put it in place and be implemented as the way it's implemented is.
Is there a way to follow this guideline, but then when we go into like a high risk, no matter what it is, to have the board vote on it at that time? I mean, is there ever such a thing?
we could do that.
I mean, does that sound like
If-
something better, like?
The only issue with that is if something happens tomorrow
Right,
and the poop hits the fan,
right.
we don't meet again until July. Unless we were to call like a special meeting
A
or
special
something.
meeting
So
or
that would be an
a
option.
meeting
We
or
would just say,
something.
you know what, okay, something's happening, we need to call a special meeting to determine whether or not, and that would be just like, special meetings are single topics. It would just be like, we're calling a special meeting, are we requiring us to?
Like a conference call with everybody or something like that?
Zoom, like, we're still allowed to use Zoom?
That's up to the state. I believe right now we're still able to.
I know that the Cook County courthouses are still all Zoom. You can't even walk in there. They're still doing Zoom. I think they just like it. It's better. Everyone's just
They
not
don't
really
see
sitting
people,
waiting.
yeah.
Yeah, everyone's
If
not.
somebody's loud, they just mute them and that's it.
Oh, you want
That's
to
nice.
tantrum, delete.
Yeah.
No,
On Zoom
this
or
is,
by email? I mean, is there ever like a meeting email?
Email, no.
Okay.
Email, no.
Prior,
Never reply all.
prior to the pandemic, meetings had to be in person, and there was an option for like maybe a single person to phone in or something, but you had to have a quorum physical, and so.
To meet in person.
Yeah, and if you're already familiar with quorum, then
Yes.
let me know, okay. So we had to have a physical quorum within the building, but a person could call in. During the pandemic, with the state of emergency, they've allowed municipalities and organizations to do them all in Zoom, which we did do for a while. And as of right now, I believe we can still do them in Zoom. I believe that they've been extending it on a month-by-month basis, and I'd have to double-check to see what the last municipal minute.
Like on emergency only, not, you know.
Well, I mean, in general, the way it's written is like basically if the president of the board said, hey, and this actually happened back in April because I caught COVID. And so Rosa was like, you know what, we're just gonna have I caught it like right before the board meeting. So Rosa was like, president of the board, we're gonna do a Zoom meeting. And it was that easy. And it didn't even have to be a special meeting. It was just, we're gonna have, as long as it was within 48 hours of.
To notify. that
Exactly,
there's a meeting.
exactly, yeah. So, for right now, we could just say, hey, we're gonna have a special meeting, we're giving 48 hours notice. Topic of that meeting.
Is it that's why I'm asking you, is it possible, like, emergency situation, do like a phone call meeting? Does something like that exist or not?
I don't
Right now,
believe so.
I never heard of that.
No, I don't believe
I
so.
know, but
It could be out there, there's no more, but I never heard of
I
that.
get weird ideas. No, you know, let me see, like something like a huge earthquake came out, and now we have to approve from the board to open up the library for something, you know. So you will have to make this like conference call or something like that.
Well, this is where we rely on the discretion of the director to.
I mean, I get it.
We do, if
Simple
anything,
example.
we'll catch up afterwards in support, but he doesn't sit there and wait for us, he or she wait for us to make the decision. Now, in regards to this policy, you notice the last paragraph says the public face policy, or public face covering policy will be enforced based on current recommendations from the CDC, the Illinois Department of Health, and the Cook County Department of Health. This is where I say it is general enough.
Yeah, that last paragraph, because I
Yes.
think even on the CDC, when it was a high risk, it was only for hospitals, doctor's office, within those limits. It wasn't the whole county or the whole, I think, Layton, was it, or am I wrong? When you said when you followed the CDC with high risk, was that mandatory only
It said,
for
it said,
doctors
it said
and,
in public places.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, because, I mean, it was nowhere. And when I talked to the pediatrician, it said just the employees have mandatory.
You see, as an employer, you can still mandate your employees. But
It said COVID-19 community level high, recommended actions based on current level. Wear a mask indoors in public and on public transportation. Stay up to date with COVID-19 vaccines. Get tested if you have symptoms. If you're at high risk for severe illness, consider taking additional precautions. That was their recommendations for being on high. Now, when it dropped down to medium, it says recommended actions based on current level. Stay up to date with COVID-19 vaccines, get tested if you have symptoms, wear a mask if you have symptoms, a positive test, or exposure to someone with COVID-19, wear a mask on public transportation. You may choose to wear a mask at any time as an additional precaution to protect yourself and others. So that was the difference between.
So high just says wear a mask, it doesn't say you must wear a mask, where it's mandatory.
It's recommended.
to wear a mask. And that's the key word right there.
Right,
recommended.
and as a library, we said, okay, well, they're recommending it, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to say we're going to require it in the building because it's recommended that people in public places have it. That's where I'm just saying, because it's clear, it's binary. There's no arguing with somebody at the desk. It's like, look, I can point you to the website, the little light is red, that means we require masks. Is that going to piss some people off?
Yes.
Yes. And like I said, that's going to happen either way. We could just tear this up and say we're not going to require masks under any circumstances, and we'll piss off different people. It'll just be the people that will be like, well, I ain't going to your place anymore. It's,
No, I think the problem is the policy is fine, and I think it's fine to follow the CDC guidelines, but we just need to, in regards to like enforcing it, they're saying recommended, so we have to say recommended. So unless they change, and they can, and I'm sure they, eventually might again, if they say it's required now, then we have to require it. But I think if they're saying recommended, then we need to follow recommended and not make somebody.
I guess it's the way you interpret recommend. Like Layton's interpreting high risk recommend
Well,
is mandatory.
I'm interpreting it based on, I'm looking out for all of my staff and all of the public. Not all of my staff and not all of the public care about it. They're going to be like, hey, I'm not going to wear a mask. I don't care. But I can't just worry about those people. I have to worry about all people. So for me, it was, yes, I might be erring on the side of caution, but that's because I have a responsibility for more than just the people that.
But technically, you're only responsible for the employees. You're not really responsible for Jim Shoe coming off the street. He might already have COVID.
True.
You don't know it. But you're.
But if someone trips on the broken sidewalk out front,
Right.
if someone trips on the broken sidewalk out front, I'm going to be responsible for that.
Right.
And that's why we're having the sidewalk fixed. I mean, I'm responsible for more than
But
just
if
my
the employees
staff.
spread the COVID, that's where you're gonna be the responsible, because they're gonna say, I got it from there, because you have it, you have it, you have it, you have it, you have it.
Yeah.
A person, I just don't think people are in the library all that long if they're so nervous or they're not vaccinated. And my brother, my mom both got COVID once, got vaccinated twice, got COVID again. If you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it. And if I think if you're nervous about it, yes, you should wear the mask, but don't push your beliefs on me and not allow me to just run in and get a vote or run in and vote. You know, what are we doing with the voting people if this comes back? Now it's mandatory, it's not mandatory.
I mean, there's really people that want to wear a mask are complaining that the other ones are not wearing the mask.
I don't know. I mean, I had people think, when I did that post clarifying it, I had somebody complain, I had somebody thank the library. So that's my sampling, is those two posts. I don't know. I don't know what people.
Because usually what I'm seeing, the people that don't want to wear the mask, they're not complaining.
Mhm.
The ones that are wearing the masks, they're quiet and they wear the mask because it doesn't matter if nobody wears a around you, as long as you wear it, you're protecting yourself. So what's the big deal, you know? If you want to protect yourself, you do it.
Okay, so in the essence of time, policy, changing it, not changing it.
I think we should change it.
What are you changing?
What are we changing?
Must wear.
Okay, again, if the Black Plague strikes us 3 months from now, and the CDC says everybody's got to wear a mask.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to leave the policy not to enforce it in the building? I mean,
It's better to have it in place
okay.
and enforce it as the situation develops, rather than have no policy.
But what are you going to do if it goes in red again?
Then we have to follow.
But the
Right,
following,
if it
they're
goes in
recommending
red,
to wear,
but
they're
the
not
red
making
then-
it ready.
When it's in red, what Leighton read off the screen is wear a mask, recommends wearing a mask. It doesn't say mandatory,
All right,
but it depends on how you're interpreting.
Even in a public transportation, it was taking out not to be mandatory in a public transportation. That's why nobody's wearing it on the flights. Nobody's wearing it on a train. It's not, they cannot make you do it.
Not even on businesses,
No.
like stores or,
well, like somebody
No.
said,
if I want to.
it's
yeah.
taking the
Yes.
people's attitude was this way when soft vaccine came out. And
I'm just trying to say, if we can stop making people wearing it, doesn't matter what level is it. If they want to wear it, if they're precautious about it, it's good for them. If, I don't know what you want to do with the staff. I mean, you can, if something changes in 6 months or a year, staff can come back and sue you because you made them wear the mask, get the shot, you know. It can change. I mean, I'm just telling you. But I say not to make them wear. Let it be. If they want to wear, let them wear. If they don't want to wear, let them, nothing.
You're saying strongly recommend or urge or,
Yeah.
Regardless of what the CDC says? Like if the CDC says it is not
well, I think if
mandatory,
you see it on the news where like, oh, Cook County, you must wear a mask, then yes, you must wear a mask.
If they change it back that we must wear it, it's fine. But right now, it's not must. It's like recommended.
This-
so that's what I,
For any level,
Yeah,
it's
I agree.
recommended.
okay, yeah, so I think it's just then the interpretation of it. I think the policy, in my opinion, the policy is fine as is, but we just need to make sure we're interpreting recommended as literally recommended and not mandatory. Unless, and this policy says we will follow what CDC says, and so if CDC says it's mandatory, then we can now make it mandatory. But unless they specifically say mandatory,
Unless they if they overturn it, then yeah, it's
then just recommend.
as of now, it's not.
Okay. So then, do you think there's any changes that are required on this policy?
The only thing I just still don't like is shall be removed. I think it should just say like shall be asked to leave the premises or.
And take away
Does
the
it
ban?
sound like
Yeah.
forceful to be removed, like you're gonna be? I think
No, it
it's
says any patron who refuses to leave upon request.
like shall be removed.
Right.
That's what I mean. Should
Yeah,
you
well,
ask
if
them?
the- like I said, the nudist comes in,
Yeah, but that's already against the law, being nude and decent
well,
exposure.
so I'm coming up with something absurd to,
Yeah, but I mean, just the words, like, is someone gonna ask them to leave, and then if they don't leave, then they're banned, or are they just banned automatically?
who refuse to leave upon request will be removed and banned.
Okay,
It's clear.
okay.
And I think it's general enough. It says that enforced based on the recommendations. So it is flexible to whatever situation may arise. So I think the policy, the way it's written,
Okay.
does the job.
And you can give your opinion, do you have a better wording for it in your opinion?
No, I was just thinking shall be asked to leave the premises instead of
I
remove.
think it's the same, but it sounds a little bit
Well,
better.
it says, yeah.
So you
but
want
it
it
used
to
to
read
leave
shall
upon
ask to leave?
request.
It says shall be
You wanted to say shall be
required.
asked to leave instead of shall be required
Yeah,
to leave,
like
and
asked.
any patrons who
Asked
refuse
to
to
leave.
leave. Okay, so just take away this whole sentence, any patrons who refuse to leave upon request shall be removed and banned from the library for 3 months, so remove that whole sentence. And then the one before that where it says, distance when practiced shall be asked to leave. Instead of required to leave the library, we're changing that to asked to leave.
Yeah, but if you wanna leave them, if they're banned, if they really cause a ruckus and they don't leave, that's okay. I just think, like Sam said, where it says shall be required, just say shall be asked.
Shall be asked to leave and
And
may
then-
be banned
That's it.
from the library for a period. And so that'll be at your discretion.
Yeah, and
And
then the
or
rest
maybe ban leaves again, that's why one will say, well, how come I was kicked out?
Or I'm on,
and then
or I only want a month ban. They're gonna-
Yeah, so that's, you know, and.
So just leave it after shall be removed, you mean delete the ban? Marge, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, yes, I'm saying and ban, because again, we're not, they don't want to cooperate with us, so why
Right.
should we be nice to them? I guess you
True.
would say.
Like you said before, they have their rules, I mean, whatever they are. Running around naked.
So we're leaving banned? Or removing banned?
Well, you can't ask someone to leave and then ban them, because if they're banned, they can't be there, so you're no longer asking them to leave, you're telling them to leave. It's,
Well, here we say, any patron who refuses to leave upon request, well, that's the ask.
Right.
And then if they don't, then they will be removed.
I mean, we could change the word remove to, we'll call the police, but it just seems like, if you're taking out the one side of it, but leaving in the banned, they're mutually exclusive. You can't ban someone, but then give them the option to come in still, or stay. It's like, if you're banning them, they can't stay, so.
Okay, how do you guys have more? I like how it is.
Okay, leave it.
Leave it? Alright, can we move on?
All right, well then.
Okay, so then, our just interpretation is just not mandatory recommended, if CDC says recommended, unless they
Yeah,
mandatory.
and I'm still gonna reach out to Tiffany just to find out clarification on the whole mask, being able to enforce that or not.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna have to, when Sam comes back, we have to vote on this, because,
Well, we don't have to, because nothing's changing.
oh,
Okay, so notary public policy revision,
I mean, it's,
So
the
you're
policy
not gonna-
itself,
yeah.
I'm sorry, before you move on that, so do you want to mention something that the staff, unless you want to ask Tiffany first, about not requiring?
yeah, I mean,
classifications,
and
or you just gotta notify the staff that they don't have to do it?
what, in which case?
Like, not make people wear the mask, you know, just like don't pay attention, whatever, however they come in or however.
Oh, they're not requiring masks right now anyway.
Yeah, but meaning in the future too.
Well, in the
Until
future,
anything changes in the mandatory.
yeah, they wouldn't start doing that unless I told them to start doing that.
Yeah.
So, there's nothing really to tell them about.
Oh, okay.
It's just, when we went to red, I sent out an email saying, hey, we're in the red, start enforcing this. I just won't send out that email,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have to say nothing about that, okay.
yeah.
Alright, notary public policy revision,
The only change on this is that we are considering requiring people to make appointments, is all. So
this is just recommended, not required, it is recommended that patrons call first.
yeah, I mean, if someone were to come in right now and, well, yeah, it's like 7:25 right now. If someone were to come right now and need a notary, you know, there's no one available to do it, so obviously they'd be like, oh, sorry, no one can help you. It just seems like other libraries have tried going this route. I thought, it was something considering to try.
well, it lets them know that the it's not there all the time.
Well, is there a way to just let them know a notary's here like 9 to 4?
It changes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's only like 3 or 4 notaries on staff, and sometimes we're here, sometimes we're not. It's never a guarantee. So, and I thought,
You didn't highlight it, so I don't know. what
yeah,
you
I
think.
think I might have attached the wrong copy. Basically, hang on one second.
Usually he highlights the things
Yeah.
that's being changed,
Yeah.
so that's how you know exactly which portion is added or
Oh,
something
okay.
changed, but there's nothing here.
Yeah. I probably forgot to check the box about when I was printing it. There's a box you check saying show markup. So basically, in the last paragraph, therefore the notary may ask, the line about the notary may ask the person to wait, I had lined that out, and I had written instead, therefore notary services must be scheduled in advance by telephone, email, or online form. And we do have on our website, I created a draft form that someone could fill out saying name, number, preferred day, preferred time.
Oh, to make an appointment.
Yeah, and then it also prompts them like, yes, I understand, I need to bring my own witnesses. Yes, I understand, I need an unexpired ID. And that's something I would normally be showing you on
So
the screen.
you're requiring an appointment now?
I was going to try recording an appointment, yeah.
Okay, so that's a change, we're requiring.
Yeah,
an
yeah, the
appointment.
only change was to line out, the notary may ask the person to wait, and I was just gonna put in there, notary services must be scheduled in advance.
So, and we're not doing it like a walk-in, we can't do a walk-in.
Just to try to avoid some of the, people are busy doing things and
But
walk-ins.
what if they're not doing anything if somebody's emergency?
Can you make a
We're
same-day
gonna take them
appointment?
away.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, you can make a same-day
If
appointment. yeah.
somebody's there, yeah.
If I call ahead of time, can I make an appointment over the phone?
Yeah,
Oh, as long as I can do a same-day appointment, I think
yeah,
that's fine.
yeah.
Okay, so then, yes or no on everybody, so is
I
there?
make a motion that we accept the new notary policy.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Stan. All right, Debbie?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Natasha?
Yes.
Marge, yes. Rosa?
Yes. All right, public comments? Any questions, comments? No?
That's my son.
Welcome. All right, so then before we adjourn, or should we, it's part of the
Adjourn.
meeting? Yeah?
What?
The walk around.
It's not really on here. Did we adjourn and then just walk around or no?
Do that.
Or was it
Yeah,
on here? Adjournment?
Yeah, I think we're not really doing anything. Okay, so then, is there a motion to
Are we
adjourn?
gonna go swimming?
We good? That's all right.
Man,
You know.
every time I leave and I hear the music jamming over there, I'm like, oh man, I should just crash
Just
that.
bring your face or yeah.
Yeah.
Make a motion to
Listen.
adjourn.
Thank you.
Well, husband would do it to you if you had one.
Was there a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay, I didn't catch who did.
Natasha motioned,
Natasha, and who seconded?
I
I
did.
think Rosa.
Rosa.
Okay.
Same.
I
All in
think
favor?
with this, I would say rather than
Yeah.
vote, just say no
All in favor?
objections.
Yeah.
Or
All right.
All in favor. Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so it is Wednesday, June 22nd, 7:30 p.m. Cool, okay, let's do a quick walk around.
7:30.
Yeah.
And next time, or high or lower or whatever.
I'm freezing again.
Do what? Oh,
Lowering the heat.
I have to go.
oh, is that why you left? You have to get a jacket? Okay. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
you know,
gonna check right now how much is.
there's a thermostat right there. I couldn't run upstairs and grab the key if it was that bad. I didn't realize it was that
I
bad.
learned